Alright, welcome everyone. So this is a game that we really have to talk about. There's some important details. We'll go through it in just a moment. Let's introduce the players spawning in the northeast corner of the map, playing in blue. It's my Insanity's Anotand, playing as the Chinese. Battling out against him today in the southwest, in red, it's Kaiser Johan, playing as the Abbasid dynasty. Welcome everyone to Gorge. As always, I hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in the world. And do you know what? We started the intro to this game a little bit different from usual, and there's a really good reason for that. It's a match that I really wanted to showcase. Not so much because I know what happens, because I'm not entirely sure actually as it happens, but it's the Civilization matchup. We are currently on the public update preview, which is a test server as such with the new changes that we're expecting to see for Season 9. And there's been a lot of changes, of course. Primarily, I think the biggest one has definitely been the changes to Siege. So, mangonels have been incredibly powerful, but now their boulders do a little bit of a weird thing now. So the radius of damage that they do is less, but also they don't actually follow their enemy. So essentially, your enemy has the ability to dodge those boulders. So it's been a welcome change by many accounts for a lot of people, because it's definitely shifted the focus away from siege engines. But what it has done is it's given a license for the units that they're designed to counter to be a bit more present on the map, a bit more stronger, if you will. Of course, you got the longbows from the English, you got plenty of other options, javelin throwers from the Malians. But I tell you what, I think there's a silent assassin on board with the Chinese, and it's the Chukanu. I think players like Aussie Drongo are going to be incredibly happy, because of course the Chukanu is an incredibly powerful unit with their burst damage, and their big counter to them has surely got to be mangonels. But with them being nerfed, I feel like the Chukanu are going to have another new lease of life. I think they're going to be incredibly strong, especially in this Civilization matchup where, well, civilizations that had a bit of a bonus to Siege in terms of being able to build it on the ground, you know, the Abbasid dynasty are one of them, they could build siege engines on the ground with their infantry units. Then you've got the Chinese, to be fair, that do have the astronomical clock tower. But of course, the real focus here today is going to be on the Chukanu. Now, I don't know if he's going to make it here, Anotand. I kind of hope he will, but you never really know. I think it's a unit that is going to be incredibly strong, more so than the other ranged units. You know, longbows are going to be great, and it's going to be harder to counter. But the Chukanu, you know, they deal well against even cavalry when they get a critical mass of number. And sometimes you feel like when you get to the castle age, the only real way to deal with them with mangonels, or was mangonels. I don't think we can say the same anymore in Season 9. Either way, it's going to be the Imperial Academy coming up for Anotand. No real surprises there. I suspect that could be the start of a Song Dynasty, and that's the thing about the Chinese, right? They naturally go for the Song Dynasty, and so it's a really good position for him to just get those Chukanu. On the other side of things, Anotand is going to be up against a Abbasid Dynasty that's going for the economic wing. Potentially second town centre. I think it's going to be a nice play for them. I think, you know, the Abbasid Dynasty is slowly becoming one of my favourite civilizations in terms of how strong they are, because, well, they've got fresh foodstuffs from the mill, which is a really good bonus for them. Reduces the cost of the villages by 35%. And bear in mind, with the economic wing, you can go for the Fertile Crescent upgrade, reduces the cost of economic buildings by 35%. So that means the town centres will be cheaper, the villages from them will be cheaper. That means they can pump out more units. That means more horsemen, and I feel like that's got to be the counter, right, for the Chukanu. It's going to have to rely on just that one counter. Now, bear in mind, that's a decent counter as it happens, but, you know, worked well, the Chinese can work, you know, they can work around it. Just plenty of Chukanu numbers. As long as they've got enough to one-shot a horseman, they'll generally be doing a pretty good job of it. Because it really limits the options going up against Chukanu mass now, with the nerf to the mangonels. It will be the Barbican and the Sun in a forward position, protecting the gold, berries, and somewhat the deer. The deer are a little bit further forward, to be fair, but yeah, it's a bit of an awkward position for that. And we shall see. I mean, the fact that it's played out on Gorge as well is very nice, because there's a relatively limited rush distance between them in the middle. So I'm kind of expecting to see a bit more of aggressive playstyle from the Chinese. But you never know, because both these civilizations actually do incredibly well with their booming approach. Get plenty of villagers quickly as well. Granted, I feel like the Abbasid in some ways do it a bit better, right? Because they've got the cheaper villagers, cheaper town centres, and it means that whilst they're not producing faster, they're producing them cheaper, which then means there's a lot more resources to pump into military, rather, and that could do some damage against the enemy. The Chinese, on the other hand, though, with the faster working town centres, after Song Dynasty, of course, But the full cost of those villages does put a bit of a strain on their economy. Either way, exciting to see what would happen today. I would like to say, by the way, a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that second town centre is in a nice spot. Around the back, protect that wood line. Although, I've got to say that gold vein is going to be relatively exposed, which is a bit of a concern. Although, not if you're expecting to play an extended feudal age, which could quite possibly be the case. Now, that villager lead that the Chinese have built because of the Song Dynasty is going to be cut into a little bit now with Kaiser Johan on that second town centre. Wait, is he going for a third town centre? Surely not. That's a bit... Oh, I think he's going to go for Araslet somewhere, maybe. Maybe an outpost on the gold, potentially. That could be an approach. Maybe he thought about a third town centre, but I think that would be a bit too greedy, right? Maybe he was just waiting for confirmation and scouting his enemy. Because his scout is here. Probably expecting to see maybe, you know, is the enemy going for a second town centre or not? And it is just going to be a 1 TC play, and there is that archery range. So yeah, certainly, there we go, the Chukunu. And the crazy thing about it as well, with the production being supervised by the Imperial official, these Chukunu are going to come out very, very fast. Here they go across the map, and, well, we're going to have to see some horsemen before too long. There's the stable. But it's going to take some time to build. Obviously, just one villager building that at the moment. Wait, what? What is going on here? Kaiser Johan says a lot of idle time on these villages. It doesn't even have wheelbarrow. Was he looking for berries, maybe? I don't know if he had it scouted, but either way. That's a bit of an oopsie daisy, and that's very exposed. And Chukunu numbers starting to just trickle on forward. Look at that. No signs of letting up. Even adds a second archery range. With 4 Imperial officials supervising as well, the economy is in a good spot here for Anotand. 9 military units, not even a single military unit here just yet for the abbasids. He's going to go for an archery range himself, of course, because, oh yeah, he delayed it, and he can't afford the outpost now. Well, he can afford it, but he can't get it up. The Chukunu are just a little bit too fast for him. But yeah, this is the issue with Chukunu, how strong they can be, because you're going to need horsemen, right? But then add in a couple of spears there for the Chinese, and that puts a spanner in the works, and then that means that Esther rely on archery ranges himself. Which is a problem, right? Because they just don't trade as well against the Chukunu. He's going to go for double archery range as well, which is an intriguing approach. I feel like you kind of need more horsemen, but maybe he's thinking about it's going to be short on food for it. One thing to bear in mind, this is a really good pick-off there by a couple of horsemen, well, one horseman and a scout. Just picking off some of the reinforcements, just to whittle down the numbers, and that's what's going to be the name of the game here, I think, for the Abbasid dynasty. He has to limit the numbers of those Chukunu that are building up. He cannot afford them to reach a critical mass. There are 7 of them here, keeping the gold idle, but he's got to be careful, actually, Anotand. You don't want to lose those too cheaply. Horseman numbers are starting to escalate. Now, the bigger thing to think about as well, we're probably going to see Castle Age. Well, we don't know that for sure, actually, to be fair, because it looks like a pretty all-in play. And there is that idea of the spearmen, actually. Yeah, there we go. Just a couple of spearmen. Just forcing the Abbasids into some archers, which is not really a unit that they really want to be making. I mean, unless they go for boot camp in the Castle Age, that could work pretty well. Increase their health by 15%, and also composite bows, increasing the attack speed could be nice. But it's not necessarily a unit that they would want to go up against the Chinese, because then the pivot to palace guards can be a devastating one. But I was going to say that the production capabilities of the Imperial official allows the tech up of researchers as well. Very nicely if it gets there. Now, this should be a cleanup. There's a good number of horsemen. It doesn't have an iron undermesh coming in. Well, he's got it coming in just at the moment, but it hasn't got it in just yet. But you can see, even though the Chuku numbers are caught out, they are still going to get some value, right? So he picks off 2 horsemen. Not the best trade, but he's picked off some, right? Another group of Chukunu adding to the fight. That's a fight that now Kaiser Johan will not want to take. But it's unfortunate for Anotand. We did warn about it earlier, actually. You know, you're exposed. He does have Steel Arrow coming on in, and Iron Undermesh as well here, Anotand. So it's going to be well placed to deal with any ranged attack coming on in. Has got plenty of damage output as well. Here's the first Spearman. It's going to keep the horsemen a little bit honest. Well, having to venture out on the back gold, which is something that Anotand might be conscious of. But of course, he doesn't really have a lot of mobility. Has pushed the villagers away from this right-sided position. Hasn't lost a single villager just yet, Kaiser Johan, thankfully for him. And that might be about to change with this Chukunu getting involved, going to wall up, and Will this be the first blood? I think he gets it, although the horseman might. I think he gets it. Last, yeah, there we go. There's the first blood. Chukunu paid itself off. And so steel dagger coming in for Kaiser Johan. It's always a tricky matchup against Chukunu. You have to take one decisive fight, right? You can't afford to let... the way the mechanic works, really, with horsemen versus archers or Chukunu in this scenario is that if you're going to dive as the player with the horseman, you've got to make sure you win that fight. Because if you don't, there's no way of getting out of there unscathed. The range attack means that if you decide to back off, the Chukunu will pick up a horseman or two whilst you try to retreat. You look to go for a counter-attack, but that leaves the Chukunu now a free rein to try and harass some economy. And this wall is not enough. This is still going to be able to walk through there. That could be devastating, and I think anotand's going to do just that. Uh-oh. Horseman not on hand to take care of it. He's going to pick off a couple of Chukunu here, which is nice for sure to keep the numbers down. But the problem is, this is an area that's unguarded. Oh no, these villages have to back away. Is he going to go back to the gold here on the west side? I guess he kind of has no choice. He wants to get to the castle age here, Kaiser Johan. There's 3 villages. So he's going to lose a couple here, I'm afraid. Now, this is a 1 TC Song Dynasty, so the 2 translators from Kaiser Johan will be outproducing him. Not by much. The bigger thing is suffering some losses, although anotand might lose a village or 2, but if he does, it's going to be trading well with the Chukunu getting a horseman or 2 at least. Yeah, it doesn't even lose a villager, actually, as it happens. And if this army can group together for anotand, you get the feeling this is going to be the death ball he might need to push on through. Because, I mean, traditionally the way you deal with this is you get a couple of horsemen, you try and survive, I guess, and defend. You get castle age under mangonel, but we talked about it earlier in the cast. It's not really that much of an option anymore. Mangonels just don't do what they used to. We're going to go around the north. There are a couple of spearmen. There's only 2 of them, so they might decide to take the fight anyway. Villagers coming out with their shivs. They're going to fight this off. He's killed 2 so far. Trying to get some more, but he doesn't want to trade and lose everything, right? If he does that, then he's got nothing to defend with. Oh, 2 horsemen there. Could be taken for free. Anotand, has the attack moved? He has. Yeah, those horsemen are... Well, at least one of them's gone. Spearman chasing. Doesn't quite get the next hit. He's got to be careful. Oh, anotand chasing with some villagers. But yeah, just really keeping the abbasids on their toes. Getting... Oh, that's interesting. Gonna go for the deer camp here. Of course, he wants to delay that farming transition as much as possible, and taking his opponent's deer like that is perfect. Picks off the extra horseman. It will be the military wing for the abbasids, and it could be the astronomical clock tower for the Chinese. Which, by the way, now that they've got the additional health, 50% health, that actually works really well for them. STB is going to be pretty strong. Now, there's no way to quicken up the tech up for the military wing, and this gives actually the abbasids an increased problem. Because, I mean, I'm sure veterancy is going to coming on soon. There we go. Guys, 15 seconds away. The tech up speed is incredible. Of course, the villagers build faster for one, and then the researching is a lot quicker as well. Which is actually kind of the opposite of the abbasids, right? You can't speed up the tech ups for the abbasids. It just takes as long as it takes. You can't power build or anything. Again, that's a bit of a rough situation for the abbasids. He's held on for now. Got a farming transition, which will hurt him quite significantly, by the way. So the Chinese holding off any sort of farming transition for now. Content to take the berries. Content to take the boar. This is going to be huge. This is a lot of food on this. And make no mistake about it, that's going to delay any need for farming transition a lot. He's got his enemy's deer camp. I mean, the Chukunu just give him so much value. A lot of map control despite not being a cavalry unit. He will lose 1 Imperial official, which is not the end of the world, right? Because he can make it from the Imperial Academy. It's not as if he has to idle towns under production. But you can see he's paranoid. He cannot get onto the map. He needs to protect the gold so he can get his castle age units in. And, well, oh, good bit of a raid here around the back, but a couple of spearmen get involved, kills 2 villagers and runs on out of there. But here come the rams, and yeah, this is what we're talking about. Castle age is in, but what does that really give the Abbasid in terms of countering? I mean, he's got the veterancy, obviously. He needs the veterancy just to keep up. But he's going to have to find a way to deal with this massive Chukunu, and mangonels is not really going to be the way. He might try it and test it out, I guess, but the problem is the farming transition is very much idle. The Chukunu just going to dive on in. Of course, bear in mind, anotand really making usage of the leverage that he's got his veterancy in. It's going to take time for these veteran archers to become veteran, really. These archers to become veteran. He's got boot camp coming on in. He's got wedge rivets, but he doesn't have the food, he doesn't have the resources to get the veterans on the archers. So he's just going to trade them off as best as he can, but it's going to be rough because boot camp has only just come in now. He hasn't got wedge rivets just yet, so these Chukunu just picking off villagers left, right and centre, and Kaiser Johan, he's losing his villager advantage. Units continue to trickle through. He's got a couple of horsemen to try and pick off reinforcements, but it's a lot about the idle time as well. Sure, villagers are going down, but more importantly, a lot of villagers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is working. Now, we do see a couple of gulam on the field, which is a nice play into this. But again, it just takes time to build up numbers, right? Now, wedge rivets is in, so the gulam could potentially deal with this. You can imagine, back in the old days, one mangonel would have just demolished these Chukunu, or at least made Anotand think twice about pushing on in. At this point, it's going to be palace guards versus gulam, and the hard thing about the situation for the abbasids is that, well, the Chinese can supervise their barracks and just keep pumping out units very, very fast. Got barracks on the front line as well, reinforcing the army, and Kaiser Johan's economy is kind of in shambles at this point. The big thing for Anotand is that he's just, he's trickling in units. You might be thinking, well, he's losing his army. That's true. But he's getting so much economic damage. He's idling villagers. He's killing villagers. More importantly, he's keeping the pocket economies, the deer camps, safe for him to take. Delays that farming transition, gives him a really good power boost. Now, there will come a time, though, that he will need that farming transition. He's added in the second town centre as well. He's doubling down on the economy side of things. He's done a lot of damage, and now with Song Dynasty, 2 TC, you know what, there's actually no way that the Abbasid can keep up. Got 2 town centres himself, but the Song Dynasty means that, well, the Chinese town centres are building faster. Getting some all-important eco upgrades as well. Now, Anotand is ahead on villagers. He's ahead on army as well. There will be a bit of a window, though. The game is not over entirely. It's almost heading that way, but there is a window in which the Abbasids can actually do some damage. Because, of course, the villagers are producing faster, but they're more expensive, so it's a bit of a drain on that food. Bear in mind, a farming transition will be needed. So there is a bit of a downtime for the Chinese, actually, to keep producing army at this point. Whereas the Abbasids, now that they are back onto the farms, they can get pumping again. He will survive. He'll keep producing army, but that army, this next army, it has to almost win the game here for the Abbasids. No doubt about it. Bear in mind, with the map control as well, Chinese have a good free reign on all these relics, which he is now looking to pick up. Now, I gotta say, I did mention, actually, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I realized actually a couple of the videos I've uploaded recently have only been in HD quality, 1080p, which is a bit of a shame, because what happened is I was streaming, and then on Twitch you can only stream to 1080p. I think I changed the settings on my my capture software, but it was a global thing. It was just for recording as well. So unfortunately, I only recorded in 1080p, and I only realized maybe about 5 or 6 casted games afterwards, which is a real big shame actually, because I love the quality of it, the 4K vision. In fact, you know what? I'd love to know from you guys. Thankfully, it didn't actually change the viewer numbers too much, so people, I guess, enjoyed the content nevertheless. But I would like to know from you guys, what do you guys actually watch the videos on? Do you guys watch it in 1080p? Do you watch it in 4K? In fact, you know what? Drop a number in the comment section below. If it's 1080p that you watch the content in, drop a number 1. If it's 4K, drop a number 2. I'm kind of curious to see what the numbers would be like. It does definitely make for a better viewing experience of 4K, for sure. But of course, I know a lot of people don't have 4K TVs or 4K screens, I guess, in a way. I imagine a lot of people play on the mobile phone, or watch on the mobile phone either, as well, so can't get 4K on mobile phones as far as I'm aware. The Chinese just diving in, doing what he's done before, with the clock tower and STBs in support. A couple of lancers popped out for the Abbasids, trying to get a bit of a counter raid. He needs to do some damage, right? But now with the walls covering up the map, he's got a lot of map control. The villager lead starting to climb up for the Chinese, and maybe it's got to be mass gulam. I guess that's got to be the way. The archers always feel a bit underwhelming, right, when you go up against Chukunu. Palace guard numbers looking good though for the Chinese. But there is still that window. If Kaiser Johan can just take a decisive fight, maybe there's a way back into the game. But he's going to need to secure a gold vein if he can, an 8,000 tile gold vein. His one's on the west side. It's actually walled off from him now. So he's going to have to find a way out to it if he can at some point. Not quite there yet in terms of the game. Oh, bit of an initial engagement there, which is working quite well for the Abbassids. But that front line, it doesn't feel enough. Nesta Bees gets a decent shot off. Cavalry going to charge on in on the Nesta Bees. There's a good number of added crossbows though for the Chinese, by the way. So that'll do well against the Lancers. But I'll tell you what, that front line is dwindling for the Abbassids. He's lost most of his Ghulams. Although, to be fair, Palace Guards are really in the numbers because of the reinforcements more than anything. But that's a big thing, right? The Chinese are able to reinforce their army. Lancers are very weak now. I think maybe Kaiser Johan taking a decentish trade. A couple of Ghulams still remain. And he will start to win this fight, which is actually really important for him. Although half of his army not fighting, there we go, they're joining the forces. Kaiser Johan has to push this back. But overall, I think for Anotand, you're kind of content with this. As long as you relatively evenly trade, and you don't lose absolutely everything. Be in a good spot. Of course, knowing that the economy is stronger. There's the farming transition coming up, and yeah, this is where it took us a bit tricky for the Chinese, right? They need a bit of a delayment tactic if they can to get the farming transition online, which is of course what the Abbassids have already done. To quite a significant level as it happens. But you know what? 4 relics in for the Chinese. That gold is going to be coming out of his ears at this point. Look at that. Almost, well, more than double. That's crazy. Income per minute. In fact, let's just switch over to the income per minute for now. The Abbassids, of course, got plenty of food. Yeah, but not that much gold remaining. So, Kaiser Johan does need to make a move for the west side gold. 2 outposts are going to delay things for sure. Very nice move that, actually. A lot about Age of Empires 4 is certainly about delaying enemy strategies, getting out to resources, and that's exactly what these 2 outposts do. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it forces the rams out, which is an investment in itself, and then it takes time to break through to get there. Yeah, the gold is going to be running out very quickly. It doesn't have any reserves either. Oh, a couple of lancers getting around the back. We're getting a keep on that position. You love to see it. That's going to give him so much protection on this economy. Plenty of food, plenty of stone, double gold vein. Although this one's, yeah, there's still a big chunk of gold in there. Definitely worth it. I feel like Anotand now is probably thinking about the Imperial Age. He's getting another batch of farms. That's going to really help him get that. He's really sort of sorted out the food income problem that he was having earlier on. Take a look at this as well. There's a keep here. This is a big problem. Kaiser Johan has to deal with that. He's only got a couple of rams. And, you know, how else do you deal with the keep? You could use your torch damage, but then that's going to sacrifice units. Maybe a trebuchet or 2, but these are very expensive. And he doesn't really have the gold for it. Boiling oil about to come on in as well. Although that'll take a bit of time, really. A minute and a half or so. Minute and a quarter. Anotand, though, he doesn't want to wait around. There is one mangonel on the field, and maybe we'll see what it does now. Like, how well it works, or how well it doesn't work, I guess, in a way. Villagers coming out, preemptively looking to try and repair the mangonel, potentially. Or they're going to gold, maybe. Either way, Anotand is playing it patiently. Doesn't need to dive in. Doesn't feel too pressured to push on through. Gonna keep an eye on these villagers though if you can. Villagers sneaking out to the berries, it seems. Ghulams taking that front line. There's a lot of palace guards, good number of lancers, which work pretty well against the palace guards, but not so much against the crossbows, which are in good numbers. And look at that, the dodging. The mangonel didn't get any damage output in that shot. And it's still a relatively expensive unit, you know. Another shot comes out, takes out, what, maybe 1 unit? I mean, that's probably being harsh to the lancer, because I think the lancer did most of the work there. All 3 sacred sites in the clutches of Anotand and the Chinese. Ghulam numbers starting to dwindle. He's carting it well, Anotand. Just trying to not engage with the Ghulams if he can. Picks off a couple on the retreat. And with the Nesta Bees in play, that could do a lot of damage to those crossbows. And yeah, Anotand just needs to buy time now. Got the sacred site victory condition potential. Okay, he didn't move the Nesta Bees. But even then, look how much little damage it actually did though. Only did 40 HP damage on the Nesta Bees. A second keep on the west side coming up. And amongst all of that, the Rams couldn't really achieve what they wanted to there. And he's doubling down. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be really hard here for the Abbasids to get gold. Going to go for this one on the right, but there's only 4,000 in there, and as that expires, it's going to become a problem. The farming transition well underway. Yeah, this game has very much been about gold, very much been about the Chukunu and the ability to defend against it. Because against the Chinese, really, with the fact that they can get veterancy and they can pump out units so quickly, you need that powerhouse unit of the Mangonels just to overwhelm just 1 or 2 units. That can just turn the fight, but with the nerf to the Mangonels, it's been a heavy hitment to them. The game's not over just yet, of course. I mean, Kaiser Johan, to be fair, is actually doing pretty well on the village count. But he's being pulled and pushed everywhere, and he needs to find a way to break on through onto the sacred sites and then into the Chinese base, and he has to protect the gold. This is the thing, right? Kaiser Johan is forced to bring the army here because he cannot afford to lose this gold position. Now the village is there mining. He might be looking to push down the middle. Lancers will catch up and kill a lot of these palace guards, which is definitely going to be a nice cleanup for him. But look at the resources. Anotand is probably thinking about the Imperial Age. That's going to be important, actually, because this is hugely important. Because when you think about aging up, we talk about the situation it brings you in, and it puts you in a vulnerable situation because you've invested a lot of resources. You don't necessarily have the benefits of that tech up just yet. You have to wait for the elite upgrades. You have to wait for all the upgrades as it happens. But guess what? The Chinese don't have as much of a problem with that. They can supervise the buildings getting their research upgrades. So really, the window of opportunity to do damage is severely diminished against the Chinese. I've actually managed to break through on the right side, so I might get a bit of a raiding party here, but there is that Imperial Age now. And he actually went with the Great Wall Gatehouse. He's really wanting to get control of that 8,000 gold vein. Understandably so. It's definitely a really key area of the map. Oh, go, wow. And these keepers getting huge value now. This is quite a few cavalry units. Yeah, I think he feels the pressure. But you know what? The military number is looking pretty decent for Kaiser Johan. The trouble is, he is going to be up against Imperial Age units pretty soon. There we are. Some upgrades coming in already. Elite crossbowmen. Elite palace guards. 15 seconds away. And look at that. Battle hardened as well. Increase the palace guards' health by 30. Those palace guards are going to be super tanky. This is the fight they're expecting to see on Gorge. 2 armors go. Wait. He doesn't need to battle just yet. He's going to the Imperial Age himself, actually, as it happens. Do you know what? I mean, to be fair, I think if you're Anotand, you see the tech up coming in. That might be your time to push on through, because he doesn't want to let the culture wing really pay dividends, right? Cheaper tech ups. And this is a perfect time for him to fight, actually. Elite Palace Guard is in. Elite Crossbowman comes on in as well. A couple of Mangonels, but you can see how underwhelming they are. Cavalry running on through, but good numbers. I guess that's a lot of Ghulams, I've got to say. He might push us back, actually, as happens. Anotand has got to be careful here not to lose his army before the upgrades fully come in. In fact, to be fair, most of them have. Here comes the incendiary arrows, though, as it happens. Those crossbows will do a lot more damage. Take a look at this. It's going to rip through these Ghulams. These are elite crossbowmen at that. The Mangonels can't catch up, and even if they do, look at that. That Mangonel shot did absolutely nothing. Didn't land anything. 3 rams. I love the fact he's added in some rams, because that will help deal with some of the infrastructure, but he's got to do more. I mean, in fact, look at the crossbows on the right side, sniping the Mangonels as it happens. There's one going down. But the numbers start to dwindle for both sides as it happens. Both Mangonels are down, and 2 Nesta Bees still working for him. Cavalry can't quite get to the Nesta Bees. Yeah, this is looking dicey now. The Imperial Age coming on in, but Kaiser Johan, he felt forced to take the fight before the upgrades come on in, and he's only got 27 military units as it happens. Anotand, he's going to steamroll from here, surely. He's going to add in a bunch of barracks. Palace Guards going to rule the roost here at this point on Gorge. Take a look at these guys, 210 health. He's also got the Yuan Dynasty with extra movement speed, which means that these units just can't retreat for the Abbasids. Oh, this is going to be demolishing. He's not going to have any army left, and sure, Kaiser Johan got to the Imperial Age, but he had no army to upgrade, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the nerf to the Mangonels. has really done a number on Age of Empires 4, and the ranged units, in particular the Chukanu, they're going to be having a field day. Aussie Drongo is going to be happy. His beloved unit's going to be fantastic. Hope you guys enjoy this casted game. Take care, and see you next time.